Hello, brothers and sisters. It's a new week. We are very happy to welcome you to our show titled Speak of Africa. There's a lot happening, a lot of news, but we have to survive. So the theme of the show of today is survival. No matter how tough things are, we're encouraging Africans to survive. In fact, we're following the same lesson. We're struggling to survive too. If you look at us, we are doing our best. We don't only sit and talk politics. We are also doing a lot of businesses. We are putting a group together that is opening an urgent care in Towson, Maryland. In fact, you can even see images of the clinic. The clinic is going to be very, very close to patient first. So we are just like the David. We're going to be fighting with the Goliath. So that's how we're going to survive. You're going to fight with the big boys, take some crumbs from them, eat, and keep going. So that's the message of today. Do your work, do your business, and survive. Take on the big guys, take on the Goliaths of the world, and make it. There's so much trouble in Africa this week, and we hope we could just paint a rosy picture. If we do that, we'll be lying to you. There's so much trouble in Africa, and so much violence, jihadist activity. We've been talking, but who is listening? It looks like nobody is really listening to us. Let's start with Ambazonia. So much suffering in Ambazonia. People drowning at sea. A lot of Ambazonians left. They drowned at sea, and you can see pictures. Then you also have families of Ambazonians. Some of them left in Canberra in the northwest. They had to move to Bonaberi. We even have the news of a family with a quadruplet. They have kids. They cannot even feed the kids, and they need help. So we would like to know more about this family, because personally, as a channel, we would like to help this family. So if you see this show, you watch our show and you see news of this family from Canberra that has moved to Bonaberi, get information about this family. We would like to help them. Okay? So get this information. We'll get straight to this family and try to help them, because charity begins at home. We cannot be telling you to help this family without doing something for the family too. So we want to help this family. So that's much of what we want to tell you about Ambazonia. We want to help our people who are suffering and dying. La République is not making life easy. Even Archbishop Andrew Nkea was also talking about extrajudicial killings by Cameroon in Ambazonia and the eastern part of the country. The extrajudicial killings are just too many. Today, people are just becoming aware because of the new social media. But there have been extrajudicial killings in the past. It's just that the new media now makes it easy for people to know what is happening. So don't think that it never happened before. It's just that the degree of killings is just too high. That's why people are making much ado about it. La République itself, what is happening in La République du Cameroon? Well, there are just two themes. The first theme is succession shuffle. Is Frank Biya going to succeed his father? Or is it Ferdinand Gongo? The story goes on and on. All the newspapers, people are talking. But the main story we want to draw your attention to is the story of Savannah Energy. Savannah Energy is a story of corruption. It is a story of the way the big boys monopolize power and use this power to make big money for themselves. Savannah Energy is a British petroleum company. This week, because of Savannah Energy, there's been conflict between La République du Cameroun and Chad. Mahatma Debi had to even visit Paul Biya to try to settle this issue. Chad decided to withdraw the ambassador from Yaoundé for consultations because they were angry because Savannah Energy bought the assets of Exxon without consulting Chad. It looks like a shady deal was done without the knowledge of Chad, and Chad felt they've been cheated. So the big boys, they steal our resources, then they start fighting over the resources that they have stolen. So this is how the big-time Alibabas behave. So you can see Paul Biya receiving Mahatma Debi, the son of Debi Itno, Okay? Look at it and see things for yourself. The big boys, they keep stealing. So you have these guys ruling Africa. They are just a cabal of thieves. They steal from the people with impunity. Okay? They steal and steal and steal. So it's really a paradox when people say Africa is poor. Africa is not poor. Africa is rich. But the sons and daughters of Africa do not love Africa. They steal from Africa instead of helping Africa grow or develop. Next, we take it to Egypt. Most of the time when we have our show, people say, oh, why do you cover Northern Africa? They are not really black Africans. Well, we look at Africa like a continent, and we want to start seeing Africa as one nation. Unfortunately, some of these people in the north, they tend to have racist tendencies. And you're going to see it with what is happening in Egypt this week. Netflix produced a movie, Queen Cleopatra, presented as a black woman. A lawyer from Egypt did not like this. He was very, very angry and decided to take matters into his own hands. He's going to sue Netflix for portraying Cleopatra as a black woman. So the debate is, was Queen Cleopatra black or white? Tell us, what is the truth about history? The people who inhabited Egypt back in those ancient days, were they black or were they white? History tells us that most of these people were really black. It is true today, the black population is no longer there, but you can even see some of the people who belong to the family of David. They had a lot of blacks in their families. But this history has been whitewashed to make it look as if everything was white. When you study African history, you find out that the people who were in Egypt were black people, black like me. Okay? So the much ado about black Queen Cleopatra, white Queen Cleopatra, is just noise. Next, we take you to Guinea. Guinea has been having some issues. They have a new president, Mamadi Doumbouya. He's now the head of the junta. The junta is getting a lot of pressure from foreign donors to move the country to civilian rule by 2025. They're putting a lot of pressure, okay? Then France is also flirting with Guinea. You can see the foreign mission of France in Guinea. The ambassador is there talking as if they want to help Guinea to transition to democracy, whereas what France does best is exploit African countries. But it looks like Mamadi Doumbouya, the head of the junta, is more at peace moving his country along the lines of Rwanda. The model Paul Kagame used in his country to develop his country, it looks like that's the model that Mamadi Doumbouya really admires. But does he have the resources to do the Rwanda miracle? Can he produce it? It remains to be seen. In Kenya, we're taking you to a story that is really sad. Over 21 bodies were uncovered in mass graves in Kenya. What's the story? To fast and starve to death. And it looks like this pastor has a pattern. He has been encouraging people to starve to death in the past. Each time he does this, they arrest him, then they release him. What's going to happen this time? Because this time it's just like a major tragedy that has happened. It may not be as big as Johnstown in the US, but it's a sad story. A lot of people have died. So the government of William Ruto needs to pay attention to this problem. It should not just leave it at the local level. This is a serious problem. And we understand this pastor is a cultist. Religion should not be based on cults. But a lot of these new churches, they tell you, oh, I don't want to go to the Catholic Church anymore because they don't really preach the word, or they don't sing. They go to these churches where there's a lot of fanaticism. They make people to do things the wrong way. And when things get to a head, the people start getting carried away then they do the wrong thing. So who is to blame? The pastors need to be reined in. We need to know what they are doing. They need to register their churches so that the state monitors their actions. Africa is so rich in churches. Churches have become gas stations in Africa. Wherever you go, there's a new church. The people are in such misery that they believe that salvation will come from heaven. No, salvation will not come from heaven. Our people, we're telling you, try to do the best you can for yourself here on earth. Don't think that God will come down in the form of a machine and rescue you from your calamity, from your poverty. No, you have to do something about it. If your leaders are not doing much to help you, acquire skills. Then use these skills to create a business so that you can turn your life around. That's the message we're giving you, and it's the same message we follow. We're preaching capitalism, and we follow this same lesson because that's what we do. We just spoke to you about Lucille Urgent Care, a clinic that we're building with our small investors. We're putting a group of nurses together so that we can run this clinic. That's what we do. I will not just sit here in the United States, oh, I don't have a job, and start. No. Try to do something for yourself. So don't just sit and go to church and hope that the pastor will preach and your problems will come to an end. No, no, no. That's like committing suicide.
Do you need tax preparation services? We can help. Contact PJ Tax Service, America's only full-time income tax preparers. Like the good old doctor, we do not close our doors after April 15th. In fact, we stay open all year round in order to serve you. We are located at 11207A, Lockwood Drive, Silver Spring, Maryland, 20901. Make an appointment today with Prince Ojong, your tax expert. Call 240-350-1131 or visit us on the web at www.pjtaxservice.com.
Next, we take you to Mali. Mali is a country that the Islamic State has taken control of, and they can show you that they are boldly in control of that country. A big swath of Mali is now under the control of the Islamic State. This week, you could see them striking hard, killing a lot of people in Mali. And it looks like there was an ambush that took place, a lot of people died, and the government of Assimi Goïta does not even know what to do about it. Assimi Goïta is looking more and more like Muhammadu Buhari, ineffective. He presents himself as a tough military leader, but every day more and more of his people are being killed. Even his chief of staff was killed in an ambush. So what does this tell you? It tells you that the menace of jihadists is serious. It should not be taken lightly. We've said in the past, the best way to deal with jihadists is to use a carrot. Don't just use militarism. Don't just use guns. You cannot change the minds of people with guns. You change the minds of people with love. And that's what we're telling most of the African countries. Don't think that because you receive weapons from China, from Russia, and especially in the case of Mali, Assimi Goïta has made friends with the Wagner Group of Russia. Are they protecting his country? We don't really think so. Russia cannot really protect the people from jihadists. And the jihadists are striking fear in the hearts of all the people because the people can see their actions. So Assimi Goïta needs to come back to the drawing board and do things a little bit differently. Then what about Nigeria? Well, now Mr. Buhari finally is planning to retire to Dora. His wife was wishing Nigerians a happy holiday. We've just come to the end of the Ramadan season, so our Muslim brothers have been fasting, and I think now it's time for them to really relax. But Mr. Buhari was instead talking about if they disturb his peace, he may have to leave Dora and move to Niger Republic. So what a message from a president. In fact, Omoyele Sowore took him to task, just like many other Nigerians. You are a president. Instead of worrying about your legacy, you are worrying about noise. if you are apologizing, your apology needs to be sincere. If you think you've really hurt Nigerians, Mr. Buhari, then you need to really apologize sincerely. But you're behaving as if your apology is insincere, you are just saying it, you don't really mean it. Just like my boy Omoyole Sowore says, you have to be accountable. You have to be held in account for the trouble you've caused on Nigerians. For 8 years, you said you're going to help them do a lot, but they just feel like you've not done anything to change their lives. Instead, their lives have been more miserable. So it is your choice to move to Niger, but life goes on. Now, Mr. Bola Tinubu is coming, is prepared, and we understand Buhari is ready to welcome him because next month, Mr. Bola Tinubu will be taking the reins of power in Asarok. But already he has challenges he has to face. Reducing government subsidies, then increasing revenue from other sectors, not just oil. Fighting poverty, fighting insecurity. Those are the big issues on the table facing Mr. Bola Tinubu. From his experience in Lagos State, we are confident that he may be able to handle these challenges because he seems to have a team in place. He's the kind of guy who doesn't work alone. He may be older now, but it looks like he has the resources and the stamina to be able to turn things around. So that's the hope of most Nigerians, even though a lot of them are dejected with this president. They are not really enthusiastic that a new president is coming in. The euphoria is not there. But I would say his honeymoon may be short, so let him spend the time doing a lot to help Nigerians. Many Nigerians are waiting for him and they want their lives to be better. Buhari did not do much to solve insecurity. Insecurity remains a serious problem in Nigeria, and we think a new government should come up with a better strategy, not just a reaction. They should not just be reacting to insecurity when jihadists kill people. They need to come up with a master plan on how they can eradicate jihadists like cancer. They need to win the hearts and minds of the people. Weapons will not change anything. In fact, the problem of jihadists became big in Nigeria after they killed Mohammed Yusuf, who is the founder of Boko Haram. Before he was killed, Boko Haram was not a violent organization. But after they killed him, his followers decided to wreak vengeance on the army and the government, plus innocent civilians. So sometimes the actions a government takes can really lead to unforeseen consequences. And that's what has been happening with Boko Haram in Nigeria. We hope those who are with Mr. Bola Tinubu can learn lessons from Mr. Buhari's failure. Insecurity is serious. Without a solution to this problem of insecurity, there is nothing Nigeria can do that can move the country forward. So we need to really look at serious ways to tackle this problem. Even if a national conference should be organized to tackle this insecurity, the government needs to ask the people, what ideas do you have? How should we go about tackling this issue of insecurity? Tell us. If you can do this, it will really help. If the government doesn't have ideas, the people have ideas. Talk to the people. Get the people involved in the whole issue of solving the problems of insecurity. That's our message to the incoming president, Mr. Bola Tinubu. Next, we take it to Senegal. In Senegal, Macky Sall is having so many competitors. People want to become president. Every day, a new one comes up, and that's what we're seeing now in Senegal. A lot, not only Ousmane Sonko, there are more guys who want to become president. But what is Macky Sall going to do? He's going to play games to see how he can push them aside.
Have you heard the latest healthcare news? There's been a medical programming breakthrough. Let's go to Ali and Ron for more.
Thanks, Seb. A Good Samaritan is offering Alexia HTC, a new EMR EHR, to doctors for free. Certainly, this free offer will shake things up in the medical software industry. Alexia HTC is a David pitting itself against the Goliaths, Epic, Cerner, and Meditech, which are old and cost too much money. What happens if you figure out how to build a new EMR, EHR on the web for pennies on the dollar? You give it away to the suffering physicians for free.
Want to learn more about how these two powerhouse solutions will help you win more business? Schedule a demo below. In just minutes, Alexia HTC can help you access a patient record, enter an order, write a note, prescribe a medication, generate a charge, and create a super bill. Plus, Alexia Care Corporation, the vendor of the new web application, offers full customer service and training support free of charge. Who can beat that?
Then we take you to South Africa. We're here to talk about the mass shooting of a family in South Africa. It has been big news the whole week, and we have to investigate a lot. There's a lot of violence now in South Africa because crime pays. When there is hardship, when there's economic hardship, people look for different ways to make a living. So whenever you look at a lot of these incidents of crime, they have as their basis, the result is what? Insecurity, poverty, joblessness. Cyril Ramaphosa needs to pay attention to creating jobs, creating new source of energy so that the people can live better lives. Okay? Finally, we take you to Sudan. Sudan is in a state of blood. Two generals are battling for power, Berhan and Hamdot. The two of them are not willing to allow for a peaceful transition to civilian rule. They are looking at their own self-interest. They are looking at stealing the resources of the country and selling to Russia. That's why they are fighting for power. They are actually fighting for the resources of that country. Whoever has a gun, and if he thinks his gun is bigger, he wants to bully the other and keep control of the resources of the country. That's why the two generals are fighting. When big guys fight, they say when elephants fight, the grass suffers. And that's what is happening in Sudan. In fact, the Pope had a message of peace this morning. He wants peace to return to Sudan. But are the generals listening? Even though they are trying to sue for peace with the religious holiday, but the fighting continues unabated. So some of the big powers like the United States, Britain, and France, they are trying to create safety corridors to move their people out of the country. It is not the poor people of Africa, people who come from other African countries. They are the ones suffering now because nobody is helping to evacuate them. So you see, racism again. The whites are getting their people out. The blacks are stuck there to kill each other. So it's not like, you black, come on. You are not important. Your life doesn't matter. You can kill yourself as much as you want. Let us whites get out and leave you niggers in that part of the world. That's the message we get. So we've come to the end of our show, but we're telling you that we need to do something for ourselves. We cannot wait for white people to come and help us turn things around. The people who are making life difficult for us are Africans. They dance with the devil. They dance with the white folks. And this is what keeps Africa in check. This is what keeps Africa in poverty. If we can learn to rise, we may have arguments with our brothers, but let us know that the big picture is what we should be looking at. When white people have problems with each other, they tolerate it. When they have a big agenda, they follow that big agenda. They don't say, oh, because Peter insulted me, I will not work with him. No, they will work with Peter. By contrast, our own people, when they have an issue with you that is personal, they will not even want to do anything important with you again. So we have small minds. We Africans who have small minds. We need to develop bigger minds. Thank you very much. May God bless you.
Medical practice software is too old. Indeed, all the programs are built on MUMPS, technology of the 1950s, and the programs cost too much money. Epic and Cerner cost billions of dollars. Meditech costs thousands of dollars too. In fact, that's why we created AlexiaHTC.com, a new and free EMR/EHR for doctors. AlexiaHTC.com is built for HIPAA. Yes, magical one-screen technology, ease of use, quick charting, amazing e-prescribing, tight labs integration, multi-office difference, because we believe doctors and patients need a break today. Be the first to test drive AlexiaHTC.com. You have nothing to lose, you have everything to gain. Act now. Call 240-350-1131. Alexia Care Corporation at AlexiaHTC.com.
Selling a service or a product? Need buyers? Use the African Nation TV as a channel to reach many viewers. Act now and call Prince Ojong at 240-350-1131. That's 240-350-1131. Act today.